Hello, everyone. My name is Brion Martin, and welcome to my presentation of Brion, the Mastery Journey. In taking a look at the classes that I'll be taking over the course of the next 12 months, I've come up with some goals that I want from each class, as well as a strategy to reach that goal. And I've also provided resources for those strategies and for those goals, actually. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. So for mastery, personal development, and leadership, my goal is to understand the road to mastery. And I'll do that by reading books related to mastery and implement the principles that I learn in the books. And of course, the primary resource of that is Mastery by Robert Greene. Another goal that I have in the mastery course is to explore examples to compare my own journey of mastery and my strategies to compare and contrast behaviors learned in class. The resource will be Mastery by Robert Greene. And the third is to acquire missing tools to mastery. Everybody's got some degree of experience along their journey to mastery, and everybody has their own inspiration and shortcomings, things to overcome, which is exactly what shortcomings are when speaking about mastering something. So I'd like to acquire those missing tools for myself and compare and contrast those behaviors learned in class and learned in the examples provided in the text Mastery by Robert Greene. So moving on to executive leadership, my goal is to learn business cultures and practices within the entertainment industry at large. And I would like to do so by engaging with industry professionals and asking questions. That way, I can be guided into a direction that's more conducive to me achieving the things that I would need in order to be able to best practice executive leadership effectively. And one of the things that you do acquire as a leader is influence and power. And to be able to manage, maintain, or all the other things that you can do with the power accumulated by being an industry leader, Robert Greene sums it up in his book, The 48 Laws of Power. My second goal in executive leadership will be to examine various leadership styles to further develop my own. Everybody's got an idea of how they will lead or how they will execute being a leader, but not all of those ways are effective. So I'd like to foster and maintain relationships with successful leaders in order to be able to lead effectively. And one of the books that is written by a legend is Winning by Jack Welch. And that's a very valuable resource when discussing leadership and learning the principles of it. And the third for executive leadership is to enhance my ability to lead and motivate. Management is a very specialized field. And you have some managers who are great leaders, and then you have some managers who are just good at the tasks of management. And in order to be an effective leader, though, leaders possess the ability to manage a team of people who have a greater cause, and they do it by motivation. And you can motivate people in various ways, either by them seeing you do, or guiding, or just simply motivating them to do what they do best. In my efforts to learn how to lead and motivate, I've identified Steve Jobs as a resource, a very valuable resource, because his keynotes were absolutely amazing and his ability to sell a product was uncanny. Moving on to project and team management, my first goal with that class is to become familiar with the various standards and frameworks of project management. Project management, also a very, very specialized skill set. And what better place to familiarize myself with project management than the Project Management Institute? And they have a website and they offer tons of information and insights. And also another way to familiarize myself with the ins and outs of project management is to turn at project management firms, and one that I've identified, and I actually met with the owner yesterday. His name is Rahim, and he's at R&R Consulting, which is based in my hometown of Cleveland, Ohio. But aside from the Project Management Institute itself and their website, they also publish a guide called the Project Management Book of Knowledge. And it's a guideline of the ethical principles and practices of conducting project management services. And they also offer a certification. And I'd like to learn to use project management software and the tools associated or that they have developed, because project management is the same across the board. It's one of those fields that is a highly specialized field, but you can take what you can out of that and utilize it for whatever your project management needs are, which is something that's really awesome about it. And obviously, the resource for that is pmi.org. And let's move on to business storytelling and brand development. Business storytelling and brand development is a very integral part in the relationship of a business with its consumers and the public at large. And just the storytelling aspect of it, I feel like it's a public relations, and public relations, to my understanding, is journalism. So I'd like to master the journalistic and preemptive aspects of business storytelling. And I'll do that through self-study and additional creative writing offerings, whether at Full Sail University or another college. In conducting this assignment, I read a book called Positioning, which I have as a resource as well, by Al Ries and Jack Trout. So my second goal is to develop the skill of reactive storytelling and crisis control. The internet is now the hub of all things marketing because of the convenience that it offers. So along with the positives also come negatives, and there are things that can adversely affect a client or an organization. So being able to get ahead of a story is very important, just from the aspect of the continuation of business. So my strategy is to discover new courses and trainings offered and advertised by the Society of Professional Journalists. And one of the resources is Evan Bright's How to Get Into and Succeed at Copyright. And copywriting is the field of writing for money, essentially. And my third goal for business storytelling and brand development is to acquire advanced skills in the field of marketing. And in order to do that, I'll be studying the teachings of some marketing masters like Al Ries and Jack Trout. And one of the resources is 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And moving on to entertainment business finance, this course is extremely important to me because there's an abundance of lenders who will loan you money for, the greatest hits of life, a house, a car, an education. But a very highly specialized field of lending is entertainment business. And I've identified Ivy Lender as one of the resources for me to achieve my goal. And my strategy is to identify and develop relationships with entertainment lending professionals. So another goal that I have with entertainment business finance is to calculate and minimize risk. With any situation where you're using another entity's finances to fund a project or to reach a goal with someone else's money, risk is a very important factor in their decision to provide funding for you. So understanding risk management is my strategy to calculate and minimize risk, because that is, I feel, the key to obtaining funding and maintaining a good reputation when it comes to borrowing and or acquiring investors, because no one wants to waste their money. And my final and third strategy, no, excuse me, my third and final goal in entertainment business finance is to identify key interests of the lenders and investors in order to entice eager and competitive options. I want to be able to have lenders or investors almost literally fighting each other to get a chance to work with me or my client. So, understanding what it is that they want and identifying their key interests is of importance in achieving that. So, my strategy is to survey and interview various institutions and investors. And the Innovative Lending Platform Association is a professional organization that specializes in relationships with lenders who aren't typically the traditional money lenders. And moving on to digital marketing, this is a very, very lucrative field. And it, in and of itself, is a highly specialized profession separate from what I plan on doing. So I would like to outsource that. So my goal is to identify and acquire relationships with digital marketing personnel. That way, I can focus on my goals and at the same time take advantage of this, this new digital marketing era. And my strategy for acquiring relationships in the digital marketing arena is to attend trainings and presentations provided by various industry organizations. One of them that I've identified is the GDS Summit. My second goal with digital marketing is to develop firm understandings of the relationship between traditional marketing and digital marketing. And my approach to that being my goal was the idea that convergence is one of the most inevitable things in the evolution of communications. And convergence is when one or more mediums come together to create something new. And the internet itself is a brand new arena. That a relatively new arena, excuse me. So the marketing that one would do in order to sell products on the internet or raise awareness over the internet, it's a form of convergence. And understanding its relationship to marketing in general is a key component in understanding where digital marketing will be going, so that way I can stay with industry trends. So my strategy would be to draw parallels and distinctions between the two. And the GDS summits are always a great resource for understanding marketing, digital marketing specifically, and the psychology of those who are the subject of digital marketing. My next goal in the digital marketing class is to build a repertoire of effective industry specific digital marketing strategies. It's such a highly specialized field, but that there are tons of different strategies that are currently available, and there are new that are being developed, and some new ones are emerging. So just being able to have an idea of several different types that could fit different types of clients that I may have is important, because you don't want to bring a fork to eat ice cream. So my strategy is to study a leading industry professional, so that way I can take a look at some of the strategies and build several, so that I can have a pretty good mode of operation. So good that I won't have to take too much focus off of the career that I'll be doing. And one of the books I've identified is Alchemy, the dark and curious science of creating magic in brands, business, and life, by a British gentleman by the name of Rory Sutherland. So, moving on to the negotiation and deal making class, my first goal is to enhance my negotiation skills. We've all had some experience in negotiating, whether we know it or not, and there are some emotionally charged decisions that we make in a negotiation process that, when taken out, you can be a more effective negotiator. So, being able to identify key aspects and practices of negotiating is of a high level of importance in order to be able to intellectualize, or in order to be able to intellectually engage in a negotiation rather than emotionally. And one of the resources that I've identified is Damian Ward's book, Contract Negotiation Handbook, Getting the Most Out of Commercial Deals. My second goal in negotiation and deal making is to develop the skill of overcoming the negotiation disadvantages. The negotiation pretty much starts the moment there is a mutual interest. And what you do and how you do it can indicate some things about where you are in terms of the deal. It can give clues to your motivations. It can give clues to your poker face. So being able to overcome disadvantages in a negotiation is extremely important. And Jeff Blount's book, Inked, seems to be an excellent resource to develop those skills in negotiation. And my third goal for negotiation and deal making is learn advanced positioning skills that enhance my advantage, and also it helps me minimize my disadvantages. So if I want to be successful in negotiating, those advanced skills can potentially include your language, just the language around what you need, what you want, and getting what you need. And my strategy for that is to pursue further education that specifically focus on the closing aspect of negotiations. So because obviously there needs to be a situation where there's a meeting of the minds, and nobody wants to feel like they've been taken advantage of. So, and I've identified Northwestern University's Kellogg High Performance Negotiation Skills Training because it's one of the best in the country. And moving on to product and artist management. My first goal is learn the principles and duties of an artist manager. I think we all have had an idea of an artist manager or something prior to actually seeing one and seeing its duties on paper. So my strategy is to read the textbooks on the topic, obviously take the class, and a resource is Paul Allen's Artist Management for the Music Business, 4th edition. My second goal in product and artist management is to build and maintain management relationship with an artist. This is along the lines of exactly what I want to do. And my strategy for that is just to develop the skills that I lack. And one of the resources I've identified is the book, Every Leader is an Artist, How the World's Greatest Artists Can Make You a More Creative Leader. And my third goal for product and artist management is understand and implement profitable strategies. That's why people hire an artist manager. Artists want you to provide them with opportunity to make money, and they are in the business of selling music. So being an artist is pretty difficult to manage your own administrative stuff, and it's also pretty difficult to understand what you're worth or what you can get, because price is not always the same as value. So my strategy for understanding and implementing profitable strategies is to gain mentorships from professionals in the field. And the best resource for that is the International Managers Association, and they offer webinars and trainings. Moving on to advanced entertainment law. Everything is governed by a law. Every industry that you can possibly partake in this country is governed by law. So, as a realtor, I'm bound by law to do certain things. So, as a manager of an artist or representative of a company, understanding the regulatory body is super important, and which is why that's one of my goals, and it's my first goal, which is to understand the legal aspects specific to my field. And my strategy is to research resources where information is available. And this is obviously, going to be a government website, but there's also a newsletter called Legal Industry provided by Law 360, and their website's law360.com. My second goal is to identify the regulating authorities and their functions. And the best strategy for that is to become familiar with the various types of intellectual property designations. And the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has publications that illustrate all of those. And my third goal in advanced entertainment law is to be able to effectively advocate for changes in related policies. Artist rights and artist protections are not always I feel, are at the forefront of the minds of lawmakers. So, the people have to obviously advocate for what they need and want and what's fair or unfair. So, the best strategy for that is to stay aware of the issues and impact of current and impending policies. And you can do that by way of newsletters of the performing rights organizations such as ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC, as well as some other professional organizations. So, guess we can just move on. Entertainment and media publishing. That's a class that is very instrumental when it comes to the money making aspect of what I'll be doing as an artist manager and what the artist will be doing as a artist who participates in the business of music. So my first goal is to understand the trends affecting the culture and practices of the publishing industry. The publishing industry has been one of the most affected industries by copyright law. So entertainment business law and entertainment and media publishing, they run hand in hand. And my strategy to understand those trends is to become familiar with industry leading companies. And a valuable resource for that is the National Music Publishers Association. My second goal for entertainment and media publishing is to understand and implement publishing and distribution models effectively. There are a bunch of different publishing and distribution models that we've all seen before. And with the changing of the industry and the rising of the internet, a lot of times what new technology allows an artist to do is to self-publish or self-record or do things that typically would be the job of a major publishing company or a record company. But nowadays we can find a lot of artists doing these things on their own. And my strategy to understanding is to examine outcomes and characteristics of both successful and unsuccessful deal dynamics. And the Journal of Cultural Economics is a valuable resource in that endeavor. And my third and final goal in entertainment and media publishing is to make profitable client-specific distribution and publishing choices. At the end of the day, this is the business of music. And despite one's love for music, there is the business of it, and the business involves selling it. And my strategy is to become familiar with industry trends and models. And the National Music Publishers Association also is a valuable resource and a acquiring that information. And the final class is business plan development, and the capstone is for me to do a business plan. So my first goal is to learn how to develop business plan writing skills. This is a power of the pen type deal, where when if you can write an effective business plan, you can win whatever monies are being awarded, or whatever loan you're asking for. And my strategy for that is to obtain mentorship and guidance through professional organizations and resources. And the United States Small Business Administration is a valuable resource, and specifically the local learning center, which we have one located in Cleveland, Ohio. My second goal is to identify best practices to enhance appeal. Documents are documents, and the presentation is the most important, because essentially a business plan is a sales pitch. And when in a situation where the business plan can be presented by the writer or a presenter of some sort, it's a lot easier to sell. But you do want that to be reflected in the paper form of the business plan. And my strategy is to obtain mentorship and guidance from a professional in the industry. Additionally, the guidance would come from a book that I identified as a resource, which is The Definitive Business Plan, the Fast Track to Intelligent Business Planning for Executives and Entrepreneurs. And it's the second edition. And the third and final goal is for business plan development, and the final in this presentation, identify funders of key instruments of focus for various funding sources. And I plan on doing that by obtaining mentorship and guidance through professional organizations. And there is a book by Sir Richard Stutley by the name of The Definitive Business Plan. Robert Greene said in the book Mastery that the mind was designated to connect things like a loom that knits together all of the threads of a fabric. And I think that the coursework that is outlined, it echoes that, in the way that there are tons of industries that are highly specialized industries individually, but those industries all relate to a specific degree program. So those connections are necessary and essential to any type of success that you can see. So I do value education that is comprehensive and diverse. And that's why this statement stuck out the most to me in the book. And right here are my industry leaders. A bit of a disclaimer here: I don't disseminate or publish anybody's contact information that's not already public. And I don't want to ruin any relationships with them, because, got to work in this industry. So I want to be very careful about that. And clubs and organizations. The National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences is an organization that I've elected to join so that I can vote for the Grammys. And Broadcast Music Incorporated is a performing rights organization, which I am now a member of. And BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated, publishes a publication called The Weekly. It is a newsletter that provides information on the publishing and music business. My personal learning network are ASCAP, BMI, masterclass.com, and I pay very close attention to Barry Gordy, because he is the pioneer of talent developers. The way that he mimicked the assembly lines of Detroit auto plants with music, and the way he created music in that with that model was the most innovative thing to the music industry at the time, and many companies modeled. And as far as communities in the Full Sail environment, I like 3300 and climbing. It's dedicated to the business of music. I also like the Full Sail Black Student Union and the Creative Writing Club. The Creative Writing Club is especially important to storytelling. I look forward to absorbing some of the information and skills that club can offer me. The qualities I look for in a mentor are the ability to identify educational and training needs, as well as a willingness to provide the resources and or insight to overcome them. And that being the first one is the most important to me. Knowledge and information isn't so easily given in some industries. And the truth of it is that you're going to become their competitors. So sometimes you run into a person with information and knowledge that they can pass on, but they don't necessarily want to pass it yet. The second one is someone who has a proven track record of success and mastery in their given industry. And the third is a mentor who has the desire to mentor an apprentice, because those are the ones who truly provide you with the most resources and information and technique. So my timeline here, it illustrates my mastery journey over the 12 months that I will be in the program. And I've provided references. My name is Breon Martin, and thank you for listening.